Hey everybody, this is Abby Finance here. We're on a mission to educate our listeners about money. Please subscribe if you like what you hear, and leave a like or a comment if you want to learn more. Today we're going to talk about compound interest, and we're going to discuss why this has been proven to be the most effective way to grow your wealth and become rich over time. So, surprisingly, there's actually a government website that supports a compound interest calculator. So this is something that the U.S. government acknowledges and knows is out there, yet is not promoting and is not educating the vast public on very effectively as of yet. So that's where Abby Finance steps in, and we're basically just trying to share what compound interest is capable of. All right, so we clicked on the website here. Now we're on this investor.gov website. It's supported by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which basically regulates the U.S. stock market and other fashions of investment in America. So this right here, it says compound interest calculator, determine how much your money can grow using the power of compound interest. You can also calculate how much money you need to contribute each month in order to arrive at a specific savings goal. So essentially, you can determine what amount of money that you want at a certain time, and it will tell you how much money you need to put away each month in order to get that. But what I find more interesting is just basically projecting out what my money might grow to if I were to continue saving at the same rate and receiving a pretty average investment rate of return. So my initial investment, I'm just going to call it what I have in my account now, which is about $12,000. And then my contributions have been about $2,000 per month. I've been putting in $500 every Monday. So that's 4 weeks in a month, $500 per week. So 500 times 4 is $2,000. Length of time in years that you plan to save. So now this is where it gets really interesting. And it's something that people who invest or people who, live paycheck to paycheck, it's what defines the difference between the two. So people who invest think about their life in terms of decades, and their entire life is going to be really long. But people who are living paycheck to paycheck are thinking about, maybe 1 to 2 weeks at a time, and that causes them to, stay middle class, stay poor for their whole entire lives, while people who are thinking about the future really can begin to accumulate wealth and become very rich over time. So I'm 22 years old, so the length of time in years that I plan to save this much money, I would say it would be interesting just to see what will happen, in 22 years from now. Say I had been saving this much money throughout my entire life, I think I would be in a much different position financially. Obviously, I didn't have the capital myself to be putting away $500 a week since I was a baby. But, if I had had that money available to me, it would have been incredible what the growth could have been. So now in 22 years from now, I'll be 44 years old, and that's when a lot of people say, like midlife crisis hits and things like that. You'll be pretty far into your career. You're well away from school at that point. So it'll just be interesting to see what this type of savings will do in addition to when it's actually invested in the stock market. So the average annual return of stocks over the past 200 years has been about 7%, and I'm pretty confident that my investment strategy will probably outperform that 7% average. I'm confident I could hit at least 10%. And in my first year of investing, I actually returned approximately 18%. So, I'm pretty confident that I can definitely be getting 10% per year on average. It might vary significantly between year to year, but on average, I'm pretty confident I can receive at least 10% per year for the next 22 years. So range of interest rates. So this is essentially saying, what if I were to reach 18%? This will allow me to give a range up to, another 10% above my rate right now and 10% below. I'm just going to go with 5%. So now this calculator here will cover between 5%, 10%, and 15%. And the times per year that the interest will be compounded is just annually, to keep it simple. All right, so we're just going to stop talking and we're going to do the calculation here. So now in 22 years, you will have $1.8 million. And this is coming from a United States government website. This chart shows an estimate of how much your initial savings will grow over time, according to the specified interest rate and compounding schedule you have specified. Please remember that slight adjustments in any of these variables can affect the outcome, reset the calculator, and provide different figures to show different scenarios. So essentially they're saying, if you change it between $2,000 a month to $1,000 a month, it might be significantly different outcome. And if you save for 20 years instead of 22 years, there'll be a different outcome. And if you're receiving a different rate of return than just the 10% that you specified, it could be, again, quite different. But now to look at these results here is just mind-blowing, and it's something that I think everybody in the world needs to know about. So if people were able to invest in the stock market and return approximately 10% for just 22 years while stuffing away $2,000 per month, and they already have an initial investment of approximately $12,000, they could be worth $1.8 million after just 22 years. And, I hear a lot of people say that it's their dream to be a millionaire, and they want to be rich, and they want to be wealthy, and, they're out there working their butts off, they're working really hard, they're doing all these crazy things, yet they're not actually aware of one of the most effective ways to become a millionaire. So right here, as I had stated before, I've received 18% interest rate after 1 year. So, there's some variability in here. If I were to overperform the 10% that I'm suggesting I might be able to make, then there's a chance that with compounding interest, that instead of just being worth $1.8 million, I could be worth $3.5 million after 22 years. And because the interest rate is only 5% different per year, that doesn't seem like a significant amount between years, but then you go ahead and multiply that out by 22 years, and that's where the extra about 100% comes in, and that's why the interest rate is basically doubling the money between these percents. So it's quite incredible what a small amount of interest each year can do after a large amount of years. So this type of growth right here is essentially exponential. The way that the graph is growing is not straight, it's not consistent. I mean, it is in the beginning. I would say from year 0 to 10, it's relatively stable growth. It's pretty average. It's nothing too much out of the extraordinary. But as you start to hit year 15, you could already be worth over $1 million, depending on, your investment rate of return. It might even only take, 11 years? It could only take, all right, that looks like 14 years. So after 14 years, you could already be worth over $1 million with just a simple plan of saving, investing in the stock market, and not doing anything extraordinary. You need to obviously have a high income to be able to support $2,000 of investment per month, and you needed to have an initial savings of approximately $12,000 to reach these types of numbers. But I think a lot of people out there have that type of cash, and a lot of people, if they knew that this was possible, they would probably be saving a lot more money, and they would be thinking about what they can do to prepare themselves for their financial future. So while these numbers are quite incredible here, and that's just 22 years, so I mean, by the time I'm 44, I still have hopefully another 44 years of life left, if not longer. People are living longer each year with the medical advancements that are happening and technology advancing. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust this calculator here. Say I were to live until 65, which is just standard retirement age now in America. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this calculator out to, instead of 22 more years, I'm going to make it 43 more years. So that'll put me right at retirement age. And mind you, this is type of an investment that I'm doing outside of my retirement plan that I have at my company. So this is just personal money, and it's not restricted to me waiting 43 years. It's not restricted to me not being able to access any of this cash until I'm 65. This is just showing the power of compound interest over time. So we're going to go ahead and make this new calculation. So now this is where it starts to get really, really interesting to me. So if I were to just continue to save at the same rate that I'm saving now, the U.S. government is telling me that in 43 years, by the time I'm age 65, I could be worth nearly $15 million. And that's just absolutely shocking. I can't imagine that amount of money right now, as $12,000 is basically everything that I have. But I'm very confident that if I were to stick with my strategy, continue successfully investing in the stock market, and continue receiving a high rate of return, I'm very confident that I could be worth up to $15 million here by the time I'm 65 years old. So that's a great big number. But now, as you can see in the blue graph right here, it gets quite interesting. So this is the 15% interest rate that, you know, this calculator builds in. The variability between 10% is red and the green on the bottom is just a 5% rate of return. So, you know, if we were to have underperformed, this tells you right here that, you know, underperformance would leave us at $3.5 million by the time we're 65 years old. $3.5 million by the time we're retired. I think that'll be quite a bit of money, especially considering that I'm also saving in a retirement plan. But, you know, the 10% rate would be about $15 million. But where it gets quite amazing is if I were to outperform my suggested interest rate of 10% and I were to receive closer to 15%, I could be worth nearly $70 million by the time I'm age 65. I would have more millions of dollars than I have years in age. And that's just unimaginable right now. If I were to have that type of money, I would be really changing the world. I would be giving back to the community. And I would be, you know, taking on a larger role in my community. That's what I really want to do. While the process of getting money is fun and it's important to me because I need to take care of my family, I need to take care of myself, I think it's more important to be able to give back and change the world for the better. So we're here educating you at Abbey Finance, you know, about the power of compounding interest. And this type of money is something that, you know, supposedly the 1% are the only people who know about this. The 1% are the only people who have the majority of the wealth in the world. Yet I'm telling you here right now, as a part of the lower echelon of people in the world, the 99% who don't have this amount of wealth, I'm telling you that we can all do this. This is accessible today. We can do it through any type of stock investment. It's very easy. You just need to have the discipline to stay in the stock market throughout ups and downs, and you need to be able to have the discipline to save your money each week, where, you know, you're actually dollar cost averaging to have an effective price in the market. And, you know, all you're doing at this point is you're betting on the future of the American economy, which has been proven over the past 200 years to be the most successful money machine in the world. So yeah, this is Abbey Finance here. We're just educating you guys on what the U.S. government says is possible with investing. The compound interest rate calculator is something that I think everybody needs to play around with and everybody needs to explore and everybody needs to understand. This type of money right here can change lives, it can change families, and it can change generations of people. Yet there are a number of people in the world who have no idea what this is or what this means. So, well, we're here at Abbey Finance and we're small right now. We're growing and we're hoping to gain a bigger audience to educate more people on the power of investment and the power of saving and the power of money. So thanks for checking this video out. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe, leave a comment below, like the video. Really, thanks for checking this out and helping us grow. Have a good one.